everyone. Welcome back to episode 12 of Jesus on a John Boat. I'm your host, Mikey Ayala, and I have a special guest with me here. This is my family. We don't always get this opportunity. I've had a lot of different guests, a lot of different backgrounds, but guys, this is Stephen Avila. This is family. This is my cousin, and we just have a deep story. Steve, welcome. Um,
Happy to be
like
here.
I think I can go all day and just like give a background and bio, but um, I think I want to let you just give what you want to share because I could spend the whole pod could be just me going on our talking about our misadventures and all the stuff that we grew up doing.
Um,
Um,
I mean, what do you want to know? Like,
just get everybody kind of like up to speed on who Steve is,
okay.
who Steven is, and what you're about, and yeah, just like get us up to speed on what you want people to take away from you today.
Um, like he said, my name is Stephen Avila. Um, Mike and I are cousins, and I've kind of been able to see his growth and his development. Uh, we lived together for several years, so that was a good experience. Trying at times, but me personally, uh, I'm a firefighter here in Texas. Started my career in Dallas and most recently made the transition to College Station. If you're not familiar with College Station, it's home of Texas A&M Aggies. Uh, that's kind of the calling card for the city. Um, but yeah, I'm a father of two beautiful little girls. I have a wife who's an ER nurse. So we make a civil service tandem.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and I mean, other than that, it's just I'm just taking it day by day, and in the process, starting my own small business. Something to
Okay,
pass
okay.
the time. I work 2 days on. I'm off for 4 days, so just something to do. Um, my kids are on the verge of going to school soon, so I'm gonna have a little bit more free time on my off days. So just trying to supplement that. But yeah, man, that's me.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we could share like I love when people kind of share like their timelines, but like in yours, it's really special to witness because like I actually got to see a lot of that timeline and a lot of that progression. You got to see a lot of my story.
Right.
Definitely the
It
two
was all
people you
it was all first hand. There was no there was no middleman on that.
and so yeah, it's like it's a beautiful space because like we know where we've been. Like, we
Hmm.
know and like yeah, just like being able to see this come to life, bring you on the pod, being able to have these conversations, inspire other people because guys like we would have never if you would have asked us like what life
Yeah,
would have
you couldn't have asked us 10 years ago and like been a and said, "Hey, Steve's gonna be a firefighter,"
yeah.
and I couldn't have told you 10 years ago, like when you came to live with us or whatever, that I was like, "Oh, Mike's gonna be a pastor."
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
and it's not
I
for anything. It's just this is where we were at in life. We didn't know what
right.
that would look like. And it's beautiful. It's just say, guys, like God has like opportunities that could change your whole life in like 1 year could look totally different for you. Like it could all come together in in moments or even years. It all depends. Some people have it right away. Some people have it differently. So, guys, even for to give even some context, like Steve and I, Steve and I aren't like blood. Like we're not blood cousins,
Speak for yourself.
but we're more than blood, right? I
Right.
don't remember what the classic phrase is, right? But there's something powerful there because guys, like our stories don't start with us. Like our stories start with our family members. So like my dad,
Years before.
yeah, like my dad finds the gospel through your grandmother,
Hmm.
right? And so like he
And
joins the church, they become like
they've been
inseparable brother and sister, you know.
ever since.
And so and then like my dad, played a big role in like your uncle, your mom,
Hmm.
and like how they grew up, how they went through school, very
Right.
supportive in that like he was like an uncle to them in that space and brother to uncle, all that experience. And so guys, I just want to say like the journey of how like sometimes you don't always like choose your family. Like it's beautiful how God opens that up, and then leading that, like how that impactful relationship started generations ago, then led to our impact of when we like lived
Right.
together and how it impacted me. I would have never been where I am today. I know I couldn't bring your folks onto the pod; they wouldn't want to be on the pod. So it's cool that I get to say thank you to the family.
My dad wouldn't know where to look. You'd be interviewing his forehead. That's what would happen.
And so I just want to say thank you to the family, Steven. I know it's like a drawn out thing. I know you don't like that and doing all that
It's
space,
fine.
but
It's fine.
I just want to say like, man, it's beautiful to be here today, and it's like so surreal for me.
Yeah. And if I can,
Um,
if you're cool with it, I just want to piggyback off of like one of the things that you touched on was like timeline, right? And just how, because I guess you were asking me like about me. Uh, I don't think like in your walk in becoming a pastor, like I'm sure that you can pinpoint very specific instances or interactions or people that you came in contact with that really shaped that kind of journey, and then also
mm,
that the only way that you can chalk it up is like that was divine intervention. Like
yeah.
I'm my path is no different.
Yep.
um, my journey to becoming a firefighter was not a traditional one. I mean, my uncles, like my father, like I have a line of civil service in my blood. And yeah, my thing was I didn't want anything to do with it. I wanted to kind of shape my own path, uh, try and go into business or you know office work or whatever it was, and like tried my hand at all these different things and realized I hated it. Like I hated being in an office. Um, and then you know found a job that I enjoyed. Like I worked as an employment and financial coach at this like Christian nonprofit.
Mm,
Um, and that was cool. Like I was able to help people. That's something that I always like to do. But we had a program director that came in, um, and he and I built up this relationship and this kind of mentor mentee relationship. And you know, it's interesting because more often than not, when you build that kind of relationship, like the relationship is meant to build that organization. He knew that I didn't want to be there, like
mm,
long term, and he was cool with it. He was like, "All right, then what do I do? Like, what can I do to make sure that you're successful in your next step?" That still wasn't firefighting. Like that was going to work for the city of Fort Worth in another business or another office setting, right?
mm,
Um, and we just continued like our friendship and our mentorship after I left the nonprofit. And I just came back one day, and I had told him like, "Hey, I'm thinking about going into the fire service." We were just having lunch together, uh, and he was like, "Hey, I got somebody I need you to meet. I'm glad that you told me."
mm.
Okay, like fast forward. Now I'm on a three-way call with a guy who'd been on with Dallas for 30 years, was the chaplain of the entire department, and he saw something in me where he said, "Yeah, I'm going to give him my stamp of approval."
Yeah.
And, and now that's turned into a mentor mentee relationship where even though I'm not with Dallas anymore, it goes deeper than that. And he's always checking in on me. Uh, and like, I just I don't get where I am today if those things don't add up or those people aren't put in my life to get to this point. So I'm appreciative of that, but at the end of the day, like I'm just thankful that hey, God plays chess moves while I play checkers. Like so,
Exactly. I think there's something powerful there that like I think we're both brought up with this and like over time, especially when I lived with your side of the family.
mhm,
It's this thing of almost like opportunity, like God like put it like he gave them discernment to teach us like nothing goes to waste.
Right.
Like no opportunity goes to waste. Like I remember, like you modeled this. Like there was a space where you taught me how like you would value people no matter the layer of like where they're at in life, and how you always would kind of be like, hey, there's still something there. And I'd be like, sometimes I think I would overlook it, like, oh well, like they're not, uh, for lack of a better word, essentially I was saying they're not that important, like they're not that. And you're like, nah man, like everybody has something, and I can I can take from that, and like there's something powerful in that. So I think there was something that they're always trying to teach us, like there's always something in this could God can use, and like there's something that each conversation could be lead to something meaningful if we are open to it. And so I think there's something powerful there that I think you tapped into, that you're like, you don't see anything as a waste. You see it as like, hey, like I don't know what this could mean right now, and you might tuck it away where you need it to. You'll file it where you need it to, but you'll have it always in there, and like you'll know when they start to like it all starts to come together. So
Right.
so I think we kind of dived in before I even like gave
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
premise of like Jesus on a John boat, which is great. But yeah, just for those whoever's new or whoever's like still kind of trying to understand what Jesus on a John boat is, the two phrases I always say so that people can understand, it's that the same way that he's in the disciples' boat, he's in our boat as well. Like he's in our boat too. And what that means is that the boat, the whatever, for me it's a John boat, whatever your boat looks like, it's just a humble vessel. It's your life. It's how God is leading your life. What path is He taking you on, and how is He just carving your path on the boat? And
My boat,
so,
my boat kind of looks more like a fire engine, but I get
yeah,
it.
that's the part of the analogy, whatever it is for you. And then the second part is that he is the extra to our ordinary. So like anything that we bring about and like that can seem normal for us, nothing goes to waste. If we give it to God, we can say, hey, like this might seem like average for anyone else, but for you, God, you can turn it into something powerful. And so I kind of wanted the whole premise of this whole interview today would be asking the question, how does a firefighter follow Jesus? Because that's who you are. That's what you're doing. That's your career path right now. And so, like, yeah, how does Stephen, a firefighter, follow Jesus? But before then, I think I want to like before that's like the bigger scope question. But like before then, I kind of want to open up with, um, what does it what what does it look like for you in your decision making, like throughout your career path? You've kind of brought it up a little bit in that space, but like now with everything like take us up to speed now, where like deciding to be a firefighter, what does that actually look like? How are you intentional with allowing God to be in that space for you right now?
I don't. That's a good question. Uh, because if I'm being like 100, just full transparency, the fire service can be a very godless place.
Hmm.
Um, you know, you got people from all different walks of life. And obviously, the end goal or the objective is still the same: is to serve the community and protect lives and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But um, not everybody has the same upbringing or the same belief system or whatever it is. Um, I think the biggest piece is making sure that you're steadfast in your beliefs, not easily
Hmm.
swayed. Um, because you know it was tough for me at first. Um, I think, and you know this, like I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
I'm. It's just not in my DNA.
Yeah.
It was like going against the grain for me when I started in the fire service because it's almost like you have no choice but to care what people think.
Yeah.
Because one of the uh, things that they taught me was perception is reality,
Mm.
and if you're perceived a certain way within the fire service, that's your reputation, dog.
Wow.
Like, so it's it's tough, but at the same time, like if you're doing the job that you're supposed to be doing, you learn it the right way. Um, you know, you got mentors or preceptors who are put in your path to teach you the right way, and you know hold yourself to a standard. Um, I think I think you're able to kind of incorporate that because my thought process has always been like I don't have to actively tell you like, hey, I'm a Christian, like, hey, I
Mm.
follow God, like hey, if I told you about Jesus, I don't need to do all that. That's not my mo.
Yeah.
But you'll see it,
Mm.
like just the way that I carry myself, um, and oftentimes like you'll find, especially like I said, in a godless community, like you'll find people who are searching. So
Mm.
if it comes up in conversation, just having that openness and that willingness to be able to talk about it and not talk about it for me anyway, it's not so much talk about it like, well, come here, brother, let me pray with you. It's like, no, this is the Jesus I serve. Like this is like I go to church. I take my girls to Sabbath school. Like I make sure that we're an active part. Like, yeah, I'm on shift some Sabbaths, like not able to, be in church, that sort of thing. But um, starts in your household, and then that
Yeah.
carries out into the world. I think that's really what it is, and um, it took me a long time to figure out like my relationship. Um, I tried my hand at devotion and like uh, reading the word and things like doesn't work for me as well. Like
Yeah.
just the sitting still and being in there. But me, I feel closest to God when I'm out in nature, like when I'm out interacting with people and I'm able to share, I guess, in my eyes, what the personality of Christ would look like.
Yeah.
Um, being a light, being able to support people, help people when they can't help themselves, is a big deal to me. And I think when you conduct yourself in that manner, like people notice the difference. So
Yeah. I think there's something really cool there where as we're kind of breaking down like what do you think makes it feel godless? Like cuz if someone like and especially cuz I want to get into it because like there's so many people that watch like a movie like Fireproof and they're like, "Oh, awesome." And like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if
yeah,
you've seen you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
So like it's easy or like courageous for police officers like they think that that could be like everyday life but like
Hmm.
what makes you feel like it feels godless is it a level of the trauma that you guys are impacted with the realities of some dark
You're
experiences.
you're seeing people on their absolute worst days.
Mm.
There's It's very rare that you're going to come across somebody who's going to be at their best. Like
Gotcha.
you might show up on a scene and they just they lost their whole crib,
Wow.
everything, childhood
Yeah.
photos, like whatever it is, all their personal belongings, valuables, everything that they held dear, gone.
Mhm.
Um, they might be beating themselves up because it might have just been like, oh, I left the stove on, or
Mm.
oh, I was trying to save a buck and I did the electrical like stuff for my house on my own.
Mm.
I did it wrong.
Yeah.
Things like that. Then you take over to the EMS side of things, the medical side. Um, when people are hurting, you're gonna see the worst side of people.
Yeah.
Um, I saw it a lot in Dallas. Um, it's a rough community to be in. Like
Yeah.
you come across homeless, elderly, um, people who might be stuck in their ways, whatever. And it's a it's a thankless job because you're doing what you can to the best of your abilities to help these people, and the chances of you getting a thank you or anything like that happens maybe like 1 out of 10 times.
Gotcha.
Um, and when you're seeing that over and over again, it can be easy for people to become bitter and jaded to the job, um, and get this negative mindset towards how they interact with people. Um, and so I think that's why it's important. Like one of the things for me is I'll either listen to uh, praise music on the way into work, um, and I pray before I go in. And one of the it's not a long prayer. It's just Lord, give me the strength and the patience to deal with anything that I come in contact with today.
Mm.
Allow me to be a light to those I come in contact with, and that's really it.
Yeah.
Jill, same way. Um, she's in a thankless job too. Like people come to the ER, different walks of life or whatever. It's a beatdown for 12 hours of her. Just now, in my case, it's 48 hours of that. Um, but
Yeah.
for 12 hours, she's trying to heal people and help people to the best of her abilities. And it's almost, I guess, an approach of you're supposed to be doing this for me. So
Mm.
I guess that kind of entitlement can also make the interaction a little tough at times. For me, you know me, I'm gonna give it that Stephen charm, and I'll I'll get what I have to do for until I transfer care over to the hospital. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's something there, and kind of like what I wanted to break down a little bit more was like how do you, because like sometimes it's easy for us to like be in the bubble, and like especially like if you grew up like Adventist and you're kind of
mm-hmm.
like your life can kind of be going in a certain direction, and you may not see some of the realities that other people see. So you're like, yeah, God's good, God's great, but like you're seeing a world that isn't good sometimes. You're seeing, so how do you stay, not just like how do you get through, like you've shown me, okay, like I get through my day, like I start, I try to start right, I put my head in the right mind space, but like when it gets dark for you, like in that space, like when you see so much of it, when it starts to weigh on you in deep ways, like how does God pull you out of that dark pit? Like how do you deal with that?
It's a lot of self talk. It's a lot of prayer, and it's a lot of leaning on those that you work with.
Gotcha.
Um, you have to create that environment. You have to create that space
Hmm.
with your crew that there's a level of transparency. Like the fire service is one big high school. Like it's one big high school, dog. Like dudes are cutting up, like they're dogging you, like always cracking jokes. There's rarely a level of seriousness that takes place, like so more so when you're at the station, right? Like obviously when you're out in the field, like you're professional, whatever it is. But like the baseline for everybody is they know that like, hey, we're gonna see some stuff.
Hmm.
And when we do see some stuff, and it's been a culture shift within the fire service, uh, that like obviously mental health is the big thing, in our world today, right? Like making sure that people's mental health is good. More so in the fire service, like it's been a driving point. You got old heads that weren't raised that way, not in the fire service. They were taught to push it down, bottle it down, drink your problems away, you know, sex your problems away, whatever it is, and then until it ends up becoming too much, and that's why, you know, suicide rates are at an all-time high, like throughout fire service. In Dallas,
Yeah.
in the last 5 years, they've had 8 suicides, something like that.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and I can't say that it's just the effect of the job. Like there are other outliers as well. Like you don't know what people are dealing with at home, or you know, financially, whatever it might be. But um, when you have that mutual understanding, like within your crew, that hey, we want to make sure that one another is good. Those kitchen table talks that take place after are crucial.
Hmm.
Um, one of the one of the questions that I know that you want to ask that you haven't asked yet is probably like, what's the wildest thing that you've seen, or like what's the craziest call that you've had. Um, I've seen crazy stuff, but like the most, and I won't go into like, especially for the viewers, like I won't go into extreme detail or anything like that. But craziest call that I had was a traumatic call. Um, we were actually on our way back from uh, just a standard medical. I think it might have been a seizure or something like that. And we're posted up at a stoplight,
Mm.
and right on the curb, there's a dude in a green jacket. And when he sees us, he makes eye contact with my driver, and then he just
Mm.
starts like reaching in his jacket. Well, the lights
Oh
are in
wow.
green, so we just drove off. My preceptor's like, pretty sure that dude had a gun.
Wow.
We're like, nah, you're tripping. You ain't have a gun, whatever. Not more than 3 minutes later, we get a call on dispatch. Mid 20s African American male in a green jacket, gunfight with DPD. And
Wow.
we're like, that's the guy. So we popped the UE, headed right back. Where do we show up?
To
A
the same
daycare.
life. Oh, the daycare. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, exactly. That was our first thought too. So
Oh my
DPD is
goodness.
there. We go in and like you have the daycare building, and then off to the side you have these two like chain link fences, and inside the I guess the property line of the daycare inside the chain link fence, we show up, and the crew that's already there, the engine crew, because we were on the ambulance, they're doing CPR on this guy. Um, I guess this guy saw DPD. They said something to him. He said something back. He drew on them. Started shooting. He got shot in the leg. Realized that he was not going to win that fight, and ended up taking his own life and shot himself in
Oh.
the head. Um, but protocol, like we have, you got to work on him for 20 minutes. It doesn't matter if the patient's in the wrong, and that's where it can get tricky at times because uh, you have to put all your personal beliefs, all your everything. Like your job is to protect that patient's life, plain and simple. Doesn't matter what
Wow.
their past is. It doesn't matter what wrongdoings they've done, how good of a person, how bad of a person. Like you do your job, and so we got him on the stretcher. We got him into the back of the ambulance. I'm pumping away a chest. Um, my my preceptor is ventilating, uh, and everything just kind of slowed down. For other people, it might speed up, but for me, it just felt almost like an out of body experience because that was the first like traumatic
Mm-hmm.
situation that I had been in. And I'm pumping away a chest, and I just remember like looking up and seeing this guy's face and thinking to myself like, this is nuts.
Mm.
But when you have a crew who's experienced the way that I did, um, I'm in the middle, and like I'm seeing this guy in his condition, the way that you can imagine somebody who shoots himself in the head looks like that. Um, Out of nowhere, my preceptor just goes, "What's the capno supposed to be at?" Now, just I said, I'm pumping away at his chest. I said, 35 to 45, and he was like, "You sure it's not 45 to 55?" No, I said, "No, sir, it's 35 to 45." He said, "All right, just checking."
Wow.
Immediately leveled me out. I was like, "Is this dude quizzing me in the middle of in the middle of this call?" Like they've been there, like they know what to expect, and like when you get into these situations, like when you really break it down, like based on protocol and everything, you're just following you're just following protocol. There's really no thinking involved if you have this stuff memorized or what you're supposed to be doing. Everybody knows their job. One person's on chest compressions, one person's on ventilations, other person's on drugs, and you just go through the cycles. Get to the
Wow.
hospital as soon as you can. We were able to get a pulse back, which is what you're trying to accomplish, right? He didn't code on us again, and we were able to transfer care. I don't know what took place after we transferred care, um, but it, by our standard, like, hey, we got a pulse back. He was alive when we got him. Um,
Even even after, like,
even
did he end up
after,
passing
e
away?
No idea. I don't know what happened once you transfer care. And that's another trick to it is you got to disconnect after that because
Wow.
if I carry that, I might get a call 2 minutes later, and if I'm dwelling on that, my full focus isn't on the person that I need to be taking care of next.
Wow.
So I remember we got back to the station, and they were like, "Hey, Rook, you want to talk about it?" I said, "Yeah, kinda." And they were like, "Are you
Wow.
good?" I was like, I'm fine. It's just it was like it was surreal." They said, "That's just your first one." Like, and
Wow.
you're sitting there at the table. They're talking it out. They let you speak your piece. They impart some wisdom on you, and you know, you just from there. My goal and my objective was just not to let it weigh on me and not to take it home.
Hmm.
Um, so that's kind of that was a long-winded way of saying like leaning on your crew is crucial.
Yeah. So your community in that it has to be like you guys have to be completely connected and
Right.
dependent on each other. Yeah, like I think that's kind of powerful, like how that standed the test of time. Like there's other jobs where like that's kind of we're seeing away with that. We're seeing a lot of more like working from home,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of by yourself work, but like in this and being a firefighter, this has never died. It must mean something deeply because I've talked to you a few different times like throughout the journey of it, and like I think that seems to have been one of your favorite parts. Like every time I feel like your voice always changes when you're like, dude, like man, like whether through the trials of getting all the certs or through the trials of like even on the job, like I've seen that the community means so much.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think in other jobs like well, I don't want to speak on other career paths and speak something I don't know, but it seems like despite all the trauma that you guys get, despite all the things you guys see, somehow like there's still a beautiful public perception of firefighting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like compared to some, I don't want to say names. I don't want to like put anybody out
Yeah.
there like
Yeah.
you're supporting whatever, but to say like I've seen, you know, we've seen some other things, especially in the civil service, like some people aren't getting that. So I think there's something powerful in there that like I think there's biblical principles being tapped into
Mm-hmm.
that they don't really know that are like overlaying like how you guys get the job done. And so I think it's somewhat of a godly manner of saying, hey, like we still have to, we value humanity
Mm-hmm.
despite anything. Like, and that's like godly, you know, like there's a space for that that God sees. He's like, they did sin, they crimes, the whatever, all the things. He's like, but I still value my creation deeply. Um, and you still see like, hey, like I'm here to serve, no matter the story, no matter the situation. Like if we took those principles and applied it to like if we were as disciples and walking with Jesus, if we actually lived out some of those principles, we would see this world change in deeper ways than we can imagine.
I agree with
Because
that.
like imagine like what would that look like if we took it to the church and people are like, because hey, I'm going to serve you despite whether what you did or how you did. I'm going to love on you. I'm going to because some people like water it down in a lovey-dovey way, like oh, just love people, and then they don't. Some especially in the older crowd, they don't like to hear that.
Right.
They don't like to hear oh, just love people.
Well,
But you're saying
just I mean, if we just take it to a real level, right? What are you doing if a crackhead walks into your church on Sabbath morning? No, I know it sounds funny, but I'm asking you a legit question. Like, what are you doing if what is not even just you? What's your congregation doing if a crackhead walks into your? Maybe they're tweaking a little bit.
and what are they equipped to even handle that? Are
I'm not.
they?
I'm not, and I'm not saying that they're like that they're disrupting the service or that they're, trying to inflict harm on anybody. I'm just saying that they stumbled into your church.
Yeah.
now you got a crackhead in service while you're trying to preach.
Mm.
Then what?
Yeah. I
Are
mean,
people cool with them sitting next to him? Because I have to be.
most.
Like I got no choice. If they tell me they got stomach pain and they want to go to the hospital, like hey, all right then. And
Yeah.
then I'm gonna have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
How did we end up here? Like, what did life look like before the drugs? Like, are you wanting to? And I've had conversations like that. Like, especially young kids. Like, when I say young, I'm talking like early 20s or whatever. You're talking about 24-year-olds that might be strung out, or um, kids that are living with their grandparents, that rough upbringings, whatever. I don't know your backstory, but I want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, maybe, just maybe, this interaction is a turning point. Maybe it's not,
Yeah.
but I remember I had one conversation with a kid when I was at the hospital, and like I could see the toll that it was taking on his grandmother. That he lived with his grandmother. And this was like his second overdose or something like that. And I was like, dude, I said, I'm gonna just shoot straight with you. I said, are you happy that you know? Are you happy with your conduct? Look at the way this, she's over here crying or whatever it is. I said, does that make you feel good? I said, if you're gonna keep doing it, he was like, oh well, I'm gonna stop. I said, I don't want you to just tell me what I want to hear. I said, I said, because the truth is, I'm gonna go about living my life one way or another. I said,
Yeah.
you have to make a decision whether or not that's something that you want to change, and if you are going to continue living in a way that impacts people who are trying to help you negatively, that's on you.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious. Like, do you feel like your congregation or anybody would be equipped or would be open to having an individual pop in that maybe doesn't smell that great, doesn't look that great, isn't in the best condition, or is coming from a different walk of life that isn't, oh, I was raised in the church. Like, what does that look
Mm.
like?
I think there's many who I think the majority would probably feel very uncomfortable. I'd say there's a strong majority in that, and then there's just a few that might be equipped. I mean, depending on their backgrounds.
Right.
Even sometimes even the pastoral teams, are we even equipped like
Mm.
ourselves as individuals, leaders? I just know in like my background, I don't, I mean, my dad,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
like, he's putting me in those spaces, but not everyone grew up like me. Not everyone was put in those spaces. But you're bringing up a valid and deep, like it's a deep question, because we need to face that. Like Jesus engaged with what he would consider.
Murderers, thieves,
Yeah.
prostitutes. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
he
And
was out
so,
there.
yeah. And even the other aspect of like the least of these, like the people who society completely casts out completely, like, and they had deep layers. Like we don't treat it just 'cause like the old days, they had deep layers of how they broke down even like certain career paths. Like fishermen had tiers. Like there was different tiers of class that the Jews
Right.
would break down. Anyways, I don't want to get into Bible study here, but
I got you.
in the sense of saying like how we view this now, then I'm going to flip back the question to you.
Okay.
Has this translated, this training and this aspect, has this translated that when you're out of the fire station, will you actually clock into that same level to when you're sitting in the pews, when you're sitting in those places where you're clocked out, you're not doing that space. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
No,
like
no, no.
sometimes like
I
it's
don't.
easy when we're at work, but then like when we go back, it's like I'm like, well, I'm off.
So no, I'm me 100% of the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, with that being said, I won't lie and say that being in the fire service hasn't made me more like aware of my surroundings or more like just keen to the way that people are. Like I'm always looking around. Like I'm always scoping, you know, just it's just occupational hazard at this point, right? Um, and then also becoming a father, like I have to be even more selective about who's around my kids or whatever it might
mm,
be. But at the end of the day, like if I were in that situation, I'm probably gonna react the same way. Like, what's up, man? I said, I'm Steven. What's your name?
yeah,
and you just have a conversation, go from there, from around here, whatever it is, and then dive deep. Like if you can disarm people like that, and you can, if you can create a space where people feel safe around you, even if it means that you're kind of faking the funk and you don't necessarily feel safe yourself, like
Yeah.
I think that's crucial. And I mean, it's important. It's important in my line of work. I'm going into people's homes. Like, I don't know what they got in there.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard stories of dudes going to homes and the dude is a snake charmer. Not a, you got they got boa constrictors and stuff like that in the thing. Dudes don't like snakes. Like whatever it might be, you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I feel like I'm going to still react the same, and um, I've just always operated on if I was in their shoes, how would I would. I mean, it goes back to the golden rule, right? Like do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Treat others
Yeah.
as you want to be treated. Like if I was struggling, like if I had childhood trauma, or if there was anything, you know, if I was abused as a kid, whatever it might be, that led me down a path that got me here, and
Mm.
I'm just looking for somebody to treat me like a person, or I'm just trying to see somebody who can be a light to me, you know,
Mm.
when I feel like there hasn't been. All right, if I'm the difference maker on that, you know, so be it. Like I'm happy. I want to be that. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess that's what kind of drives me in the fire service. I guess now that I think about it a little bit.
No, I was actually gonna like transition into that space of like there's something deep about like after hearing a lot of the I mean, you and I sit back like we you know, I've heard more stories from you personally and like some that go even deeper, like with a
Right.
lot more detail.
Mm-hmm.
But like to choose and it's almost like in pastoring too, like a lot of people ask you like I mean, I'm sure they compensate you well and you know you're taken care of. I mean, but still like there's
We're
not some of
underpaid.
there's so yeah, of course. There's some space of saying there's some things that you will go through in that career path and even some other career path like pastoring as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's no amount of money in the world that could ever make it feel right about what you're going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something deep in this calling to be a firefighter that like and like almost everybody across the board unless they get let go because you know it's either they're in it or they're not like there's no real I mean from what you explained to me there's no real like gray area. It's like by the time you get to your role there like if they lose their job like it's because like they just weren't in it, man. Like they just like they're not with what you guys are about, right? So
I
to
was
get that
told that the ones whose heart isn't in it or they're not here for the right reasons will get found out quick.
Yeah, yeah. So there's an aspect of what like there's this complete buy-in. There's this complete like surrender of your complete like of saying like man like I know there's parts that suck. I know there's going to be trauma. I know like you've no one's like naive to it. They don't even lie to you. I'm sure they even tell you like the worst of the worst as you're going in like they list it out for you and then yet y'all still go running towards the fire.
Right.
How
Yeah.
do we translate that? Like, I would love to see disciples of Jesus with that same level
Of
of
mentality.
passion
Yeah.
and intensity towards running towards spiritual fires or whatever you may say. So, why do you guys do that? Why do you think that way? And why do you keep going back for more and like running towards the, because it can't be just like adrenaline junkies and that
For I will say for some people it is that they just they get a thrill out of it for sure. I can only speak for myself, and just like obviously I've built a community like within my fire group guys that I went through academy with or that I've met in fire service that you know I talk to every day. Like half the time we're cutting up, whatever it is, but like guys that I can really lean on, like if I need to go see them, whatever it is. Um, so they might tell you something similar to like what I'm saying, but for me personally, it's something that was ingrained in me before I was even a thought that
Mm.
again, it goes back to God. Like He's in the details, in every fabric, every layer. When I was created in my mother's womb, I wanted to help people, and I knew that I would sacrifice my own well-being to make sure that I do it.
Mm.
I can't tell you when that started. Like in my own consciousness, I can't tell you when that started. It's just who I am. If if your son was in a dire situation, and it meant, if there was the difference of going into a burning building and making sure that he's okay, but knowing that I wasn't going to go home to my kids, I'm going into that burning building. Now I better
Mm.
expect that you sing my praises to my kids for the rest of their lives. But I'm going in. Like, and that's the job. Is
Yeah.
Our job is to endure what the rest of the community cannot.
Mm.
And it's a there has to be a level of selflessness that comes into that. And we're talking about a level of selflessness in a society that is it fair to say, is selfish by nature?
Yeah.
Okay, like I everybody is the main character in their own story. So they're
Mm.
thinking about themselves. Like, yeah, they get families, whatever it is, they have people that they care about, but at the end of the day, you're thinking about what's best for me.
Mm.
Fire service, if in my eyes, if it's done right, you're thinking about what's best for other people at all times.
Yeah.
Even if that means that your well being is not that. Guys aren't sleeping well, guys aren't eating right, they're not taking care of themselves, whatever. Um, and that's just because of the schedules that we keep, right? So we're having to combat that. Guys have cardiovascular issues. They're developing cancer from toxins that they get in the smoke or whatever. But it's all worth it because you're making sure that the community is safe. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I sleep easy at night knowing that I might have tough calls. I might have great calls. I might have good interactions. I don't want to. I don't want to paint a picture that like I only have bad interactions. Like, because that's not the case. I've had a lot of ones that
Yeah.
make me laugh and um, things like that. Um,
Yeah.
but I think I'm able to rest easy at the end of the day, whether I had 20 calls or if I only had two. That I
Yeah.
did everything to the best of my abilities to make sure that I made sure that they were safe, that they were
Mm.
well taken care of, that I did what I needed to do, everything within my scope of practice and my power. Like, I'm able to sleep well at night.
Yeah. I want to attest to that and just share like a quick like story, and we can't get into the details. Some of it has some level of
What's
sometimes inappropriate, but not on
okay?
our not on our side,
Okay.
but mainly of what you're saying of like that protective and just like I will go out for that person
Mm-hmm.
and fight for them. There was a time, guys, when I moved, went in with them. I got a job at a used car lot. I won't say what happened. You're laughing. I can't say it, especially like some aspect. So, I was cleaning cars, and and someone had done something. I guess I could get as close as
you
I
can
can, but
you
I
can
won't.
you can give details on that. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
fine.
essentially what this some guy just didn't, some coworker, he actually was pranking a lot, and come to find out like he was pranking a lot of the people at the thing.
No, I
um
mean, call it for what it is. He took your information from your company file and
yeah,
put it on the internet to prank you.
yeah,
And
yeah,
as a result, he was getting inappropriate text messages. Leave it at
yeah,
that.
yeah. So that's exact. Yeah, you said it perfectly. Let's leave it like that. So I was crushed. I mean, I'm like 18 years old. I'm living in your house, and I'm just like something like that had
I
never
still
happened.
remember you running up the stairs, bro.
How about you tell? You're a great storyteller. Tell how, and then I'll give the reaction part that you gave. So
So,
do me, and then I'll do.
all right, all
I'll
right.
share you.
So Mikey comes home, and I stayed upstairs. There was only one room upstairs, and it was my room. I stay upstairs. I hear the front door, and I just hear, Steven! Mikey was, that's my little brother. I'm not, what is, you calling my name? You thought I was going to run downstairs? Like, hey, are you okay? I was comfortable in my bed. I'm gonna stay in my bed. I assume, and sure enough, I just hear him start running up the stairs. He bursts into my room. I said, "Whoa, whoa, let's try that again." I said, "Why don't you?" I said, "Close the door, knock, and then come." Like, I'll admit, I definitely gave Mikey a hard time when he came to live with us, but you know, knocked, came in. I said, "What's up?" He was like, "Did you do this?" And I was like, I'm afraid you're gonna have to be more specific, Mike. I don't know. If you did it, just tell me. Like, I won't be mad. I just want to know if you did it. And all the while that he's saying this, like, you're just hearing text message notification dings, like as he's talking. So, what did you feel like my reaction was, like, to you
So yeah,
bursting into my room like
I'll
this,
clock it
all
now.
frantic?
There, yeah, there was something powerful because like as you were kind of like you were laughing in the moment, but then like your face in my perception, your
Okay,
face like shifts once I actually show it to you.
okay.
The inappropriate things were happening, and you were just like I saw your face go from smiling and kind of laughing. You're like, "What's going on?" And then you like see it, and it starts to add up, and then I see it's not you because you used to prank with me and the family I'm okay like, but this was like to a level of inappropriate that like I didn't even imagine that you would go, and I that's why I was like I have to go check and see like there's no way Steven could do this to me, and like so I had to make sure because then I only thought of the other person and I thought it was that guy,
Okay.
and so I said, and then you're like you just got so serious and the room just like shifted and you looked at me, you're like, do we need to go take care of this? And the way, like, well, guys, if you didn't know, he had like a baseball bat in his trunk. I don't know if you still have that, if you still live your life like that, but
My baseball bat is in my closet at my house. That's from my that Jill knows exactly where it's at because she knows that if ever need be, she knows where to go grab it. Um, so I not to cut you off, but like
yeah, yeah,
I I always operated like when it came to Mikey, like I get to mess with you.
yeah, yeah,
That's my privilege.
yeah.
Like
It's your right. Yeah,
nobody else gets to mess with you.
yeah,
Um, and I'm protective. I'm protective by nature. Like I
yeah,
wasn't gonna let anybody. And this was this is before we both became husbands and had children and realized we were young or whatever. But
yeah.
I
You were
I
ready to
do
throw
remember.
down, brother.
Yeah, I was ready to show up at Mikey's job, like to correct the situation.
Yeah,
Um, and I remember telling you now that we bring it up, I remember telling you like, you fix this or I will.
yeah, yeah. And I think that just hits me deep in my heart, man, because like cause yeah, like it clicked for me. I think that was a big moment when like I felt like we were brothers, like in a deep way.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you just looked at me and was like, "Hey, I mess with you, but like that's not. There's a
Yeah, that's it.
line."
There's lines to it.
And then but at the same time, you're like, I would never let somebody get away with that. And like I remember I was kind of timid at first, and then when you told me that, you looked me in the eyes and you were like, "You better fix that, because if not." Like I'm going, like I don't care if you don't want me to. I don't care. Like it's gonna get done. And
And
yeah, I think I
I
felt.
think I think my big thing was is like it was also a life lesson that I was trying to teach you because you were young, like you were coming in. I wasn't that much older than you, but I was like you were coming in and you wanted at the time you wanted so desperately for everybody to like you,
Yeah, yeah,
and there was a youthful like almost being naive, like just
Yeah.
like I'm Mikey, like hey, and sometimes you like we've talked about this, like you just came on too strong sometimes. It's
Yeah.
like it's okay just to dial it back and let things happen organically. Like,
Yeah.
but when you have that kind of like, is it naivety? I don't know what the word is.
I
Anyway,
agree.
being
Yeah.
naive like that, whatever it is, hey, not everybody's gonna be nice. They're gonna take advantage of that.
Yeah.
My thing was is like, don't let anybody ever take advantage of you like that.
Yeah. I think what that did for me, I think that was one of the first few steps into a direction that said you had created a safe place for me. I think after that, like our talks just got so like I'd just come to
Yeah.
see you, and it would just be like, hey, you don't have to tell me like everything, but like when you really need me, like
Hmm.
I'm here. And it like once it really started to click, like I don't have to. Man, there's gospel in this, man. So like there's an aspect here like you showed me like I didn't have to earn your approval or your brotherhood or your being
Right.
family. There was something that's like we already invited you home. You're already home.
Yeah.
Like you're already
This is
here.
this is
Like
your space.
yeah, it's like and we love you regardless. And once I started to actually embrace that, like it deepened every relationship and then even ours because then I was like I didn't have to try so hard to receive that kind of love and then so you created that safe space for me along with your parents of course but like um once it clicked and I guess maybe I never knew I guess it like and then now we're getting into like what having healthy male relationships actually look like so that's a whole nother pod in of itself
Right.
but
Part two.
I think there's yeah I think there's just something deep there that I use this story just to attest to what you just said like well long before I would never been like he's gonna be a firefighter one day like after that moment like I would have never but now seeing it in hindsight there was that's one of many moments where you came for me and you're like no we're not like you fought for me many of times and even sometimes when it came to like if like I was getting disciplined by parents if you felt like it was something that like hey like
Yeah.
ease up on the kid
I'll take the brunt of it.
yeah and it was just kind of really cool when I finally realized like wow like Steve just loves me and he just loves me for who I am that hit me super deep and I think that that's what you're also living out now in your experience like when you tell me your stories it reminds me like oh he's doing that for other people
Hmm.
like oh he's doing and that is in a way
It
of
wasn't
sharing
just a one off. Like
yeah and people feel that I mean those who really know you and it's not like to highlight and like I know you hate the aspect of like me just like singing your praises too long but there's a space of like and I give glory to God because like you there's an aspect to you that says like there's times where we're joking we're laughing most of the time we're joking and laughing but then like that switch at some moment in the conversation there is a deep like Holy Spirit presence there is a deep level of that you let God interact with that and you but you don't do it in ways that's like I have to force it into because like some people kind of force it to have those kind of conversations or but we've and even how we even started this pod if people know like we didn't craft this like it kind of starts with like getting into the we're laughing a little bit we're telling a few stories and now we're even seeing like just stuff that you've shared have opened me up in that space of like
yeah.
dang like I feel like this is God just bringing family.
I just I mean I just try and interact the way that I would. I We grew up in the space, right? Like
No.
grandma, your mom being, or sorry, your dad being out in the projects, like doing evangelism and things like that. Like when you're coming to people who don't have that kind of background or whatever, like they don't they don't want you like, hey, here's a pamphlet, like no, they just want to have a conversation, and that was always my thought process. Like I just never liked when people came on too strong. Like hey,
Yeah.
we can ease up, we can talk about it. If you want to talk about Jesus, let's talk about Jesus. You want to talk about hoops? Let's talk about hoops. If you want to figure out how the two interact with each other, like, hey,
Let's do it.
I got a basketball ministry. Like, I hoop with guys from the church Wednesdays and Sundays, 7:30. Come through. We pray before,
Yeah.
like you know, create that space. Like, if you can find commonalities, like, and find mutual interests, I think you make a way bigger impact on
Mm.
a person's life, and they what's the goal, right? Like, is you want to show them Christ in a way that they've never seen it before,
Yeah.
right? Like, not just, oh well, in Psalms it says this, or in Matthew 25. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. But that's a very traditional way of doing it. When you're trying to reach a generation that has no interest in that, or isn't trying to sit down and read or anything like that, or just kind of like just goes against what the norm is nowadays, you have to find ways that you can wiggle in and have those conversations with people. Um,
Yeah.
it may not be your main objective, but if it still ends up being achieved, like, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So how? I guess we're getting kind of like closer to the near the end side of this pod, but like how, like if we can break it down to the most practical ways, like I guess getting back to the main question again,
Sure.
how does a firefighter not only follow Jesus but like make Jesus the center of everything he does with and in your own way, like you've shared a bit of it, but like the most practical steps that you can think of, like very
Right.
practical, like and maybe like stuff that translates not just from being a firefighter but any career path that we can go into.
There has to be intentionality.
Mm.
It can't. You can't be. You have to be ten toes in. Like, it. You 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 have to want to, like, make it a part. If if you're kind of wishy washy about it and say, like, yeah, like, I'm a Christian, like, that's cool, right? Or a Christian by name, like, if that's how you want to approach it, people are gonna like smell that all over you.
Mm.
You have to make the conscious decision, and if you're looking for one specific, like, practical approach, it's making a conscious effort and a being intentional about it.
Mm.
Like, God's asking you for a full blown relationship. The
Mm.
way that you and I have a relationship, where I can call you and we can talk, and an hour and a half, what are we at? An hour and 2 minutes can fly by. Like,
Yeah.
those are the types of relationships that I personally feel like Christ is wanting with, not just, oh, I read a 2 minute devotional this morning, and it's baby steps, right? Like, you have to work on these things, but, like, when you create that space, and it's just about figuring out what works for you. I feel like I'm closest to God when I'm listening to praise music, when I'm praying, meditating, and out in nature. Not not when I'm in a church building, not when I'm, like, reading the Bible or anything. And this is just me. I feel like I'm closest to God in the silence. I feel
Mm.
like I'm closest when I'm actively trying to listen, or I'm overcome with emotion because of the beauty in song, or, the beauty in nature, whatever I'm able to see. That's what works for me.
Yeah.
And it when you get that hook in you, and you figure out, like, what works for you, it's, I'm sure that you find God in fishing. Like, I'm sure that you find God in your interactions with your congregation. Like, you're a people person. You like being around people, going out and doing things. Um,
Yeah.
Once you get that hook in you, pun intended, uh, you just want to keep doing it more. It's
Yeah.
human nature. When you like something, you're gonna do it more often.
Yeah.
Um, and so for me, that's what I carry over into the fire services. I'm not gonna stop doing these things just because, my crew members may not do it or whatever. And I'm fortunate. I truly, and this will kind of be like the last piece that I feel like divine intervention led me to hear. Like, Um, I left Dallas and I was applying to different departments. Like, I was trying to find where, try and get in where I could fit in, like around the DFW area. Um, and I ended up taking the test with College Station. Um, and just for those that are listening and the viewers, like I live 2.5 hours away from where I work.
Mm.
Um, so I work for 2 days, 48, 96, and then I'm off for 4 days. So every 6 days, I'm driving down 2.5 hours to come into work. That's where I am right now. um, Saturday morning, I'll drive back home. Or, no, Sunday morning. Anyway, getting off. I I had really been praying and asking God to lead me to a place like where He wanted me to be, because I saw the writing on the wall that Dallas was not it. My wife could see that there were like negative aspects that were weighing on me, like in Dallas. She was like, I think a change of pace would be a good fit. So I had my name in a bunch of different department hats. Ended up driving down, taking my physical agility test, my written test. Um, Ended up passing that, and um, then got the interview. And my father and my brother, they did uh, mock interviews with me, and I think that was the piece, is I was having difficulty because remember I had said that I hated all these jobs that I had where I was working at an office space or whatever. I got fired from jobs,
Mm.
three to be exact, like
Mm.
jobs where I was stuck in my garage, like taking phone calls for 8 hours, or just jobs that I wasn't passionate about, didn't have, like, I wasn't fully involved in it. Um, and that's tough when you're going into an interview where you have to explain the last 10 years of employment, and they're trying to paint a picture of you, of,
Mm.
you who is this person, what are they going to bring to our department, yet he's been fired from three jobs. Like
Mm.
now we're seeing a pattern. Now I'm going against the grain because now I'm having to explain myself, and it doesn't look good in an interviewer's eyes when I'm like, oh well, I I got fired because of X Y Z at this one, and then I got fired at this one, and then you know what I'm saying? Like it was
No.
tough. So being able to um, have my father's support, my brother's support, where they did mock interviews with me, I was able to really fine tune. And I think the amount of preparation that I did for a College Station in terms of like interviewing and interview questions and making sure that I was prepared for anything and doing my research on the department, um, I went in with full confidence. Like I knew full and well, and I know I'm taking time or whatever, but I promise, like, um, when I showed up to the interview, I remember sitting in the lobby and I bowed my head and I said, Lord, I said, if this is where you want me to be, I want you to make it abundantly clear. That's all I wanted. If this is not where I'm supposed to be, make this interview a total bomb. Like, just whatever it is, like, just make it abundantly clear where I'm supposed to be. And if we're closing this door, we'll focus on other areas, whatever. I go in there. There's seven panelists. It's the most people I've had in an interview panel ever. Um, and every question that they asked, I felt like I had a strong answer with strong examples. Um, and I was prepared for that question. Like, hey, we see you've been terminated from a few jobs. Like, what does that look like? Now it was a shift from, um, just trying to explain myself and just like get my point across or whatever. Like, nobody's trying to hear that. To just taking full ownership and recognizing, like, I just told him straight up. I said, look, I said hindsight is always 2020. I wish I could go back and I could, you know, change some of those things. Those were those were jobs that I had, and they were just that. They were just jobs. They weren't a career, not something that I was passionate about. Um, but what I've learned is just because my heart wasn't in it doesn't mean that I can just let my duties fall to the wayside and then add burden to the people that I'm working with. I said, because
Mm.
now what I've learned being in the fire service is that definitely can't happen. Because if I don't do my job and I don't do the things that are expected of me, you don't go home tomorrow. You don't go
Mm.
home tomorrow. You don't get to go home and see your wife. And that's not something that I'll ever allow happen.
Wow.
Like, those, and at that point, it just felt like it was flowing out of me. It wasn't even something that we had constructed beforehand. It was just like a passion that was coming out, and I hope that it was reflected or whatever. Um, and I felt like I was able to show my personality a little bit and be a little charismatic within reason. Like, you're not trying to make it a comedy show or nothing like that, right? But um, I left, and then um, it was the only interview process that I had where um, directly after the interview, you jump straight into the chief interview. So now you're meeting
Mm.
with the whole chief of the whole department. He didn't cookie cut anything. Like, he was straightforward. He said, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, looking at your packet, he was like, doesn't look great. And I was like,
Wow.
said, I understand that. And I explained the same thing to him about my job history. And then the other thing that he had a big concern about was, I don't want somebody driving 2.5 hours. He was like, I don't want a commuter. And then, we were talking about like the paramedic side of things. And he was like, well, I'm sure, you become a paramedic to Dallas. So, you know, you could always go back to Dallas if you wanted. And I told him, I said, or it could be an asset to you. Like,
Mm.
it's just try and flip those things. And there didn't feel like there was anything that he asked uh, that really like threw me off. When he asked about the core values of the department, right? It's CSFD. It's compassion, service, focus, and dedication. He asked how those things like correlate to who I am as a person, right? Um, I just remember telling him, like, in terms of dedication, I don't think I even knew what the word meant until I became a father, like until I became
Mm.
a husband. Like, I you can say, oh, I'm dedicated to this or that. No, there's a different level, a different meaning to the word once you take on those new roles and those new responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
Um, I told him service. That's just like I told you. That's just in my blood. That's just who I am. Like, I've always wanted to help people. Um, so, long story short, fast forward. That interview happened on a Wednesday. We were supposed to find out the next week, like, the
Mm.
results of the interview. I got a call that Friday from the chief himself, and he said, "Hey, I wanted to see, if you had an opportunity to talk to your wife about, relocating, whatever." And he was like, "I'm," and verbatim, this is what he told me. He said, "I'll be honest with you." He said, "Before you and I had our interview, uh, I had already made up my mind that I was not going to hire you."
Mm.
And he said, "And then we had our interview, and now we're having this conversation." And I was like, man, I was almost speechless because I was like, man, I was able to, make this guy do a complete 180, right? But then, then you talk about, um, and you can tell me if we need to stop at any point in time. I got a little bit more because I promise it all ties in together. Like, but this is
No, I
just the
love
way
it.
my brain works and the way that I feel like God was just like fine tuning everything,
Go for it,
right?
man. Go for it. That's why
Um,
we're here.
he he said all that. Fast forward, I get hired on. I had the conversation with Jill. Like, we said, hey, we can do the commute, whatever, this, that, and the third. Um, I'm going through orientation, 3 weeks of orientation. You're meeting different people, whatever. We're getting ready to do our station assignments. I get assigned to Station 1, C shift. Okay, I don't know anybody on that crew. I hadn't met anybody from there except in like one training that we had or whatever. Um, the crew is great. I love them. My captain is a former Marine who found God, and he leads the crew out in that way. There's no gray area with him. He has clear expectations of what it is. Um, he's a chaplain on the one of the part of the chaplaincy team on the department, right?
Wow.
Uh, and so knowing that I have leadership that I can go to and just have somebody who's willing to share the gospel or just pray with me if I am having a hard time, like that feels too perfect, right? Like it feels too detailed, like somebody's just chiseling it away, like cool. Well, another thing that I wanted to put on a little bit of muscle. Like the job is a physical job. Like I wanted to get back into shape. I got a guy from the Houston Fire Department, or was former Houston Fire Department. Dude loves working out. He'll talk about working out for 2 hours if you let him. He and I get on really great, and we've become workout partners. I hit my personal. I've never bench pressed over 185 pounds in my entire life. I did 205 2 weeks ago. Like
Cool.
for me it's baby steps. Like that's cool. I struggled with paramedic. Like went through all the paramedic school, wasn't able to, you know, pass the national registry for it, whatever this, that, and the third. Um, my lead paramedic on the shift, he was on my interview panel. I didn't realize that, like, I didn't make the connection that he was on my interview panel until he started talking about it. But he and I
Mm.
had talked about paramedicine, and he told me, he was like, dude, he said, if you get on with the paramedic program here, he was like, it's different than Dallas. You don't have just 3 months where you're just drinking from a fire hydrant. Um, he was like, you got 9 months to really sit with the information. And he said, and we will get you over the hump. He was like,
Well,
we'll study on shift, we'll go through scenarios, like we'll do practice questions, like we'll do whatever we need to do to make sure that you're successful. That level of support, I can't tell you, in taking national registry 6 times and failing 6 times. You know
mm.
me. You know that I'm a confident individual. I'm confident in my abilities. Whatever. It took my confidence away in a way that I didn't realize.
Wow.
And it wasn't instilled back into me until I was talking with him, and he was so, like, certain that I was going to be successful. So now
Wow.
I've been, and then, all I want to do is just be a good firefighter. I just want to be great at my job because I know that that's going to be a direct impact on the community, a direct impact on my family, a direct impact on me. I got another guy on my crew, loves to train. He will train until 10 o'clock at night if you let him. He has like insane ADHD, like he's just always trying to go. I have all these different figures in my crew, handcrafted, like that are building me up spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally. Like it feels like the first time in almost 2 years that I feel on level ground on every aspect of my life.
Wow.
Um, and it's a it's beautiful, and it almost didn't happen because for two reasons, right? My lead paramedic that I told you was on my interview panel. He
Mm-hmm.
he gave me insight into my interview, like stuff that I didn't hear from the chief. He was like, he said, on paper you looked really bad. He was like, because you got to give employment history, you got to give all these different things. And he was like, we didn't know why you left Dallas, we didn't know why you got fired from these jobs, whatever it was. And he was like, and all I can remember is you answered every question perfectly, you had strong examples, like you were funny. He said, and then when you left to go meet with chief, he said, all 7 of us just went, dang, I really wanted to not like that guy. And like, it's so for me, that was such an uplifting thing because it was like, okay, I didn't just 180 the Chiefs' mind, I 180 7 other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that they were able to see that I'm genuine. Like, I had, I own up to my, my past mistakes or whatever, but I just need a shot, and you're gonna get
Yeah.
the best version of me. Um, And then during my orientation, and then the second piece of that, during my orientation, this is the last piece that kind of tie it all together. I almost didn't land on my crew. Like that crew that I
Mm-hmm.
told you, I have a captain and I have this and I have that, where I feel like I have that completeness. There's a female captain on C shift at Station 6. I had met her during orientation, um, and we were joking around, and she was giving me grief about my haircut. She was like, "Oh, every firefighter wants to have a mullet and wants to have a mustache, whatever." I was like, "Yeah, but they don't do it like me." um, but like we were joking around like that. So,
Yeah.
um, fast forward, I get assigned to my station. Well, she hires back um, to like ride up as the battalion chief for that shift, and I'm making the coffee in the morning. It's early in the morning, and she goes, "So, Steven," I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "So you didn't tell me that when we were picking our rookies that there were two Stevens in your hiring class." I said, "Oh, I didn't know." Like, she was like, "So when we went to go pick our rookies, and I told them that I wanted Steven because Station 6 C shift has a reputation as being like the shift across the department. Like
Mm-hmm.
they have they have like they have like the super soldiers. They had like they're always training, they're always working out. Like they have the standard I'm a firefighter dog. Like
Yeah.
um and she was like, and you didn't she was like, so when I said that I wanted Steven and they responded back which one, I just went, he didn't tell me his last name. So she picked the wrong Steven.
Wow.
That's the only reason I ended up on my crew. So for me, like one of the best things, and I always keep it in the forefront of my head, is um, coincidences are just God's way of remaining anonymous.
Mm.
Like it just seemed too perfect. It just seemed too coincidental, and like to be able, like I said, hindsight is 2020. I'm able to look back down the road now, and I'm able to see all these little pieces that were just paving a way in order for me to get to this spot right here where I truly feel like I'm going to be successful, not just as a firefighter, but as a human being, as a husband, as a father, like as a follower of Christ. Like I feel like I have the whole package like at my disposal, and it's a really good feeling to have. Um, so yeah, sorry, long winded way of telling my piece, but that's the way that my brain operates, and um, it's hard not to have confidence in yourself when you feel like you got God's backing like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful. I think there's an aspect of, and I want to like, I don't want to take any, like, I don't want to go into any more questions because that is a
Yeah,
powerful
yeah,
way to end. The thing as I was listening through, I saw a aspect of the gospel that not many people can always see in their lives, and there's an aspect that like this world wants to give you ways of reinventing yourself. I think that like we hear like social media is all
mm,
about that. Like I'm gonna give you the version. I'm gonna reinvent myself. So now I'm this and now I'm that. And kind of you tapped into that journey for me. I've been in that too, where I was like
mm-hmm.
I was always trying to okay I'm this and I'm that for whoever I need to make it work so they'll accept me.
Right,
In your case, the true gospel is saying, no, no, no. God is completely aware of your complete story exactly as it is. Like there's nothing you can tell him that will scare him away from you.
right,
Right? Like there's an aspect where he told you, no, Stephen, no longer can you find ways of presenting it or spinning it or telling. He's like, I'm gonna use your exact true story for my own glory, so that you can live out the gospel in this space, and you can live out. He showed you how to say, I'm going to embrace, this is my story, this is who I am, but it's not the end of my story. And I serve a God that's bigger than me and will put me in places that I can't even imagine. And that's a space of saying, like if many people can get there, some people want to spend so much on using only certain parts of their story. You just shared a lot. I mean, there's a lot of deep, like, some things people would have shame for, or some things that people say, oh, well, like, that
Done
doesn't
a
look
lot of
great. But you're,
I've done a lot of digging and like self reflection over the last several months, and just how I ended up where I'm at. Like, yeah, I've done a deep dive.
and that's the closest way, like, to have an even deeper understanding of who Jesus is in your life and what he wants to do with you. Because when you finally give it to him, I think you got to a point. I mean, you didn't say it out there, like, it wasn't like a movie scene where you're like, Lord, I surrender it all. Like, I think it was a long journey for you, where you were like, more and more you're saying, like, I gotta trust in God in this process. I gotta actually just literally, and a lot of us say, oh, I was just being me. No, like, you finally were, like, you were accepting who you were throughout all that development, and now you're saying, I want to walk in who God is trying. I can start to pick up the pieces, and I think God is calling me to this version of Stephen, and he's not reinventing me. It's a almost like a death to life experience, because you're just like, that old me, and I'm not lying about that death. Like, I just put it to death. Like, it's
Yeah,
it's not me anymore. This is who I am now. And so, like, if people could actually tap into that experience of saying, and it's proven by how you're even sharing it, because some people would be like, and you're just like, nope, that was me, that happened, but that's not who I am today, and that's okay.
full level of transparency. Like,
Yeah,
if
and
you can't own up to the stuff that you've done in the past and understand how it shapes who you are today, like, it. I'm not even saying the level of impact it has on others. Like, you're not fully getting the impact that it has on yourself. Like, you're still trying to. There's no reason to be ashamed of those things. Like, they have pieced together, and for me, it almost feels like when you finally put on a pair of glasses, like when you've been living blurry for, like, you, all right, I see the vision. It's clear now. Like, this is where I'm. Like you said, this is my walk now.
yeah. And it's that I just want to say, yeah, I took from all that. I just saw a gospel presentation in that. I saw, like, how Jesus can actually move in ordinary, like, what can seem ordinary to some people, it's actually super extraordinary. And you think, oh, it's just job applications. No, like, that's God literally changing the fabric of your life,
Mm-hmm.
and God moving in way, but in somehow ordinary things. Like, we all go through job interviews, we all go through, but it's miraculous. It's extraordinary, because God is in it. Like, and so I think that's what we want to end with. I think that's the tag right there for me. Taken away from your story, it's how does a firefighter follow Jesus? How does anyone follow Jesus? It starts with complete honesty and transparency. And it starts with just saying, Lord, this is I see who I am, and I want to walk every day, like him closing out the gap of who you once were, and who he's called you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's as all as humble and simple as we can be, as practical, like, just continually letting him close the gaps in whatever we're doing. And so, yeah, man, I just want to say thank you. It was powerful. It's something that touched me. It's hard, because, like, I could go and just go in deeper in some stories that would just make me cry on the whole pod.
We can
And you
always
know,
do
man,
round two, man. You know I'm here.
I just know, like, I just wanted to make it definitely about a moment of, like, how God has worked in your life. But I know I can go back and just, like, tell story after story,
Yeah.
but it's beautiful that you had your chance to open up about a lot of beautiful things, and some hard things. Like, that's amazing. That's why we have the pod. Like, sometimes in the boat, right? Like, it can be smooth sailing and it can be rocky, and
Right.
and that's an aspect that I think people got to see a powerful testimony of, just like, hey, man, I'm just like everybody else. I got bills to pay. I'm a father. I'm a husband, and I work with a team that we all have our ups and downs, but, like, I know God is in it, and that you have the courage to not like, how do you say, craft it to your own liking. Sometimes we want to experience faith in our own like way of like how we crafted it, our own little sphere or bubble. You're like, nah, man, he's in it. Like I can't hide God from it, but like some of it's nitty gritty and tough, and other moments can be wholesome and great, but you're not gonna let it be, disingenuous or inauthentic, and that's powerful. You're going to always let it be what God has called you to be. So thank you. I would say, and normally at this point, I usually tell people like, hey, like share your social media, but you're not really big on social media right now. So I don't know. I don't think that if they have any questions for you, I can email you some questions if people have any follow up with it. But I know you're not the biggest social media guy. You're too busy being a dad and a firefighter. So it's an honor. So that we even got you on the pod. Hold on. It says you're muted, brother.
Better?
Yeah. What were you saying?
No, I was saying, no, I mean, if there are any questions or anything like that, you can shoot them my way and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. But I appreciate you letting me into the space, letting me in the boat, and having a chat with you. Um, I do think it's important to say too, like, I'm gonna give you your flowers. Like you like to give me mine, but I'm gonna give you yours. I'm proud of you, dude. Like,
Thank you.
the growth, the development, like the ability to be consistent. Like we've talked about this, right? Like the consistency, like, and it feels like you've truly found after trying your hand at different things, you've truly found like what what space God has led you into, um, what brings you joy, what brings you brings the passion out of you, and you're able to utilize all the different like your technology prowess, your videography, photography, like social skills, like you're able to utilize all those things. Um, and I'm excited to see what happens in this new chapter with you for there in Tennessee, and what happens with the pod and everything like that. But I love you, and I'm just proud of the man you're becoming. So.
Thank you. You're trying to get me to cry on the pod, but I won't do it, brother. I won't do it. But no, I thank you and I love you. And yeah, I just wanted to encourage everyone to do the do all the stuff. I always say all the things, right? Like follow, share, like, subscribe, all the things that you do on social media.
Do it.
Follow us. Yeah, just do all the things. We all know what they are. And yeah, tune in next time where we'll be on episode 13. So thank you, Stephen, again. And much love, brother. Much love to every person that's been supporting us. And if this is your first time, welcome. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Amen.